Big Reginald here. Okay, let's get right to the chase. Ogryn sucks. We're gonna try to fix him in this video, but I need to give you some background really quick before I pitch my fixes. If you want to get to those right away, I guess you could skip here. See, I've always had some mixed feelings about Ogryn, and that's not least because I have the lowest amount of time on Ogryn of any class. If I don't have a lot of experience in something, I generally don't make suggestions on how to change that thing, because I don't want to ruin someone else's toy due to my own ignorance. Maybe you weirdo Ogryns like your slow attack speeds. I don't know. So until now, I've mostly stayed out of it over the years, and my only significant suggestions have been to buff the first hit damage to make his weapons feel better. As inexperienced as I am, I did spend some time on Havoc 40 with Ogryn. After a few warm-ups, we started consistently crushing games. Here's a video JSAT posted of us doing 3 Ogryn and 1 Zealot no chorus into Chasm Terminus. Look at this scoreboard. Speaking quantitatively and qualitatively from my memory of the game, we did destroy it. I've played other high Havoc games too, and oftentimes Ogryn feels great. So clearly Ogryn is playable into Havoc 40, which is how the idea of melee Ogryn even came up. A challenge we did beat while I was editing this video, though it was definitely a hard challenge. But here is the thing. Sometimes Ogryn really does feel great. Just look at this clip.
Okay, this is too sweet not to do.
Yeah! The cross pattern, let's go. Nice. But other times he just gets extremely zoned out and destroyed. He's super feast or famine. He has a really bad action economy from slow weapon swing and chain times, bad stamina on his best weapons, low swap speeds, and more. Frankly, a lot of Ogryn games will go from I feel great to I'm literally already dead. So fast, it's physically jarring. I will lose games in the first few rooms sometimes, and yet when I think about the situation, I'm confident I would have handled it easily with any other class. I have beaten Havoc 40 with Ogryn more than once, so this can't just be a skill issue. He has some upsides, but it is just harder with Ogryn than other classes in my experience. And sure, the game shouldn't be balanced around Havoc 40. It should be balanced around Damnation or Auric Damnation, and Ogryn is very playable at that difficulty, if not downright strong. Yet in my view, a lot of his more subtle problems have been exposed because of the difficulty curve, especially when fighting into groups of shooters, because often there is very little around for him to chew up for toughness. Here are my suggestions. I do invite you to add your own in the comments. If they are good, I will absolutely steal them. My goal is to sort of pitch this broadly to as many people as possible and try to get a lot of good ideas together so that we can roll it up into maybe another video and pitch it forwards as a concrete set of concepts. Okay, so number 1, baseline trample through chaff. This is not for elites and does not stagger, it just pushes through. This is going to work like Saltspire's ability on his Warrior Priest class. He has an ability where he can, on ults, just walk right through hordes and literally just pushes through them. He doesn't knock them over, he just walks right through. And I want Ogryn to be able to do the same thing baseline, just literally walk through the small dudes. He won't hurt them at all. Number 2, enemies who are knocked down also do not prevent the Ogryn from moving or dodging, so you can step over or through small or even large enemies if they are knocked over. Number 3, add a node under the Loyal Protector tree. Trample. When walking over staggered enemies, the Ogryn does 50 damage per step. Come on, this is cool. Number 4, add significant toughness, DR, or ranged immunity to Bull Rush, which is called Indomitable on the skill tree. Number 5, add immunity to dogs and perpendicular trapper nets on Bull Rush. If you sprint directly into a trapper net as a Ogryn, you probably deserve that one. Number 6, make Ogryn's coherency toughness regen work no matter how many enemies are around. Number 7, rework the Brutish Momentum node in the heavy hitter keystone to allow the next light attack after a heavy to also benefit from heavy hitter's effects, or something like that. This would encourage more heavy light combos where efficient, because some weapons are actually pretty interesting on Ogryn, but there's no reason to use them because, oh, only heavy attacks get the bonuses. Number 8, make Taunt provide self-toughness on use and damage reduction. Number 9, Ogryn should not be staggered by toughness break. He should not notice. He should just keep going. In fact, I don't think Ogryn should be staggered by very much. Number 10, add another passive, Unstoppable Rampage. Upon taking damage that would put him in the down state, Ogryn instantly resets his ability cooldown, gains 15% movement speed and 15% damage for 20 seconds or until he has not hit an enemy for 3 seconds. That could be with ranged or melee. He then immediately downs. This has a 180-second cooldown. Number 11, please fix his dodges and vaults so they work properly. Now, the vaults just seem buggy and bad for no good reason, so that really is more of a fix. The dodges seem like they have an issue with linger time, where you conduct a dodge at the beginning and the end. There's supposed to be some sort of leeway that gives you safety against things like trapper nets and dogs, and it just doesn't seem to be there for Ogryn, and that's not right. Number 12, I'm not sure if this is something that should be changed or not. I think I'd be open to suggestions here, but one of the things that's weird about Ogryn is he has really long chain ties between attacks, and it just makes him feel really slow and clunky. This prevents him from feeling good in fights because it takes so long for his swings to move and everything to happen. I don't really think he should be as slow as he is. Just because you're big does not mean you are slow. Big dudes move very fast. They've got the muscle mass to make up the difference in weight typically. And Ogryn in lore certainly has the same capacity, so just please let's make Ogryn a really scary thing. Weapons. Look, Ogryn needs weapon love. He pretty much has just the pickaxes at this point, which are kind of silly strong, but let's not even worry about it. Before we talk about bringing anything in line, we need to get some buffs on the rest of his toolkit. The Rumbler needs a bit of buffing so it can reliably kill elites. I probably shouldn't have to take Reloaded and Ready in order to actually do that. The Grenade Gauntlet also needs some significant damage buffing, and it really needs its melee damage unnerfed, like it was not that long ago. But most of all, his melee weapons are just in a weird spot. I'm not that qualified yet to recommend too much, however. I just finished testing the Power Maul, and I have a few other thoughts as well, so I'll focus on what I know. For the Power Maul, this is literally the Ogryn box art weapon. Let's make it good. Number 1, Power Maul really needs a heavy overhead on heavy 1. The animation for light 1's overhead strike down can be repurposed here. This would generally be most useful when swinging powered attacks on initiation. After that, it should lock it back into that horizontal loop of heavy 1, heavy 2 that's currently in the game. So that would become heavy 2, heavy 3, and it would lock in there, kind of like how it does the same thing on some of these other new weapons we just got. Number 2, we are going to rip out the button press mechanic and replace it with the Relic Sword's overheat mechanic, and no one can stop us except Fat Shark. 2A, obliterate the slowdown on button press. I hate that my Ogryn turns his entire brain and legs off just to hit the button. Let's just let him hit the button while moving. There's no reason for the slowdown on button press. 2B, allow mid-combo activation that offers up block just like the Relic Blade. Number 2C, first hit on either light or heavy after initial activation is the Big Stagger Blast. All subsequent hits receive only the improved damage and cleave and direct hit stagger effects of the powered weapon. This way the weapon behaves like a Power Maul the way you would expect. It does more damage when empowered, but it also has that cool Stagger Blast that's written about in the lore as well. So all of this is from the lore. It's going to be a power weapon that does more damage, but it's also going to have some stagger effects. Number 3, let me hit heads easier with this thing. Like, why does it not headshot very well? It's very hard to hit headshots with for some reason. Number 4, significantly improve carapace and unyielding damage profiles. I really mean this when I say this. This weapon should be competitive with the pickaxes when turned on. It is a Power Maul being swung by an Ogryn. The damage profile of this weapon on tabletop would make it an armor buster. It would be good into anything wearing carapace, certainly other Ogryn wearing carapace, and it would probably be fine against light vehicles as well. And for that matter, even heavy vehicles if we still had the rear armor thing that we used to have. Number 5, first target damage on all swings should be improved while unempowered so that basic groaners and poxwalkers always die if they are the first target hit. This does not increase the damage on subsequent cleaved targets, which we could look at as an additional buff for the weapon, but we don't have to. Just killing at least the first guy you hit when you hit him would make a big difference on this weapon. Let's also talk about the shield. The heavy 1 block cancel is a boring combo. I really don't know what to do about this, but I'd like it if we could do something. Number 2, shield plants needs to go away. Look, this shield plant ability is a noob trap at worst, and at best it's really niche to use. This should be replaced with heavy stamina cost reduction for blocking ranged attacks, effectively allowing near permanent hold into range, but only improved block cost reduction for melee, leaving it some defensive weaknesses, especially into things like crushers. Number 3, can we just please make the Maul a Power Maul? We just freed up the special slot in item 2, so let's do it. Number 4, let's actually make other offhand weapon variants of the shield. Shield and cleaver, shield and club, shield and shovel, why not? This should be relatively cheap and easy for Fat Shark to do, and is easy variety since you can just take the light combo and heavy combo from the other weapon and just jam heavy 1 shield edge bash into that combo set. Come on, Fat Shark, do it! Alright, that's all I've got for fixes right now. I would love to hear from you what ideas you have, and we can all just work on it together. I am not going to pretend to be an expert in all things Ogryn, but I have been playing plenty of it lately in order to get my hands on what's wrong. I always like a challenge like that. However, I do want to say one thing about my philosophy around game balance on my way out the door here. My actual philosophy for balance is something like this. This game is for a range of people, from casual to hardcore players. Concept 1 is that weapons and abilities need to be balanced around affording the players interesting power fantasies with some actual observable highs and lows between different choices that will make the abilities feel cool and strong in different situations and when compared to one another. Concept 2 is that weapons and abilities also need to not trivialize the game and need to afford serious and casual players meaningful choices and serious trade-offs that provide an appropriate challenge for the player with no one meta build dominating so severely that there's no point in taking anything else. I expect there to always be a meta build, but there should be some wiggle room where there isn't one thing that everyone just has to take. These two concepts actually are in tension, and balance literally means balancing between these notions so neither is too dominant. If the game is all about power fantasies and not about anything balanced, it won't be fun because there's no challenge. If it's all about challenge but there's no power fantasy, it won't be interesting because there's something neat going on. Anyway, with that, thanks so much for visiting. Bye-bye.